Oh, hi, I am the Lady Miss VaginaJenkins, and it is time for queer astrology. It's also time to talk about your moon sign and how you nurture and take care of your inner child or your actual child. Let's talk about it. We're in Pisces season, but my Leo moon is showing. Big hair don't care. Speaking of my Leo moon, let's talk about moon signs and the ways in which they can show us the way to nurture, care for, and really attend to our inner emotional and spiritual selves. And the ways that moon signs can be used as a parent to understand how to parent your child more effectively, or at least according to their energetic signature. The idea for this video came from a thread that I saw where people were talking about what are the ethical implications for a parent asking for their child's chart to be read. And I have only read 2 or 3 children's charts, and mostly it was through the lens of, hey, in order to be a good parent to this person, you might think about X, Y, and Z. But yeah, in the thread, they were talking about, is it ethical to basically share someone's chart without their consent, which is what so many of the parent-child sort of readings can look like. It can be a parent coming to an astrologer saying, hey, can you tell me about my child? And has that child given consent? And can anybody under the age of 18 really give consent about anything? It was a really interesting ethical argument. And it definitely inspired the idea for this video, where I wanted to look at the moon signs. So all 12 signs will be included. But yeah, I want to talk about the moon and its role in taking care of our emotional body. So the metaphor that I often give to my clients about the big 3, and reminder that the big 3 is your sun sign, which most people know, your rising sign, and your moon sign. And I think I'm one of the astrologers that thinks of the rising sign as probably the more important placement in the big 3. And the rising sign to me is how you navigate the path of life. I think the sun sign is what you're moving towards, kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel kind of vibe. It's more aspirational rather than who you actually are, if that makes sense. And then I think of the moon sign is what you need to feel emotionally safe in your journey of walking the path of life. Another thing that I could share about moon signs is I think the moon sign is who you are when you are at your most vulnerable. I think the moon sign is who you are in your intimate one-on-one relationships. And so I very much think that it's really important for people that are looking to relate in an intimate way with each other, understand the energy of each other's moon signs so that you can be really supportive to someone that you're trying to build intimacy and trust with. Yeah, having said all of that, let's look at the 12 moon signs. Since we are in Pisces season, I'm going to start there and work our way backwards. So for Pisces moons, the first thing that comes to mind for me is energetic boundaries. The thing about Pisces, and I just made my dear Pisces love letter video, so it's definitely front of mind. The thing about Pisces energy is that it is mutable water. And so it's very much like going with the flow of emotions, of spirituality, of intuition. And it's constantly taking information in along those lines. So understanding what's happening spiritually in a space, energetically, what the vibe of the people is, what the emotional state of the people is. And because it's always taking in information, it has very, very porous boundaries, I'll say. And so I think a thing in terms of taking care of and nurturing your Pisces moon is one, trying to figure out energetic boundaries for yourself, and also trying to figure out energetic cleansing and grounding for yourself. Are going to be really, really important things. Or for your child, if you're thinking about how to care for your Pisces moon child. And then how, especially, this is particularly tailored to Pisces moon children. But what are some skills that you can use to express your emotions, and get some of the energetic and emotional and spiritual energy that you have soaked up out of your system? So yes, having good boundaries and being able to cleanse, but how do you just like express what you're feeling? A lot of the times Pisces moons will take in so much energetic information that they can't tell how much of what they're feeling actually belongs to them, and how much of what they're feeling belongs to other people. And being able to express your feelings, for me at least, has been a tool to help me parse some of that out. I'm not a Pisces moon, I am a Pisces sun, but similar vibes. Pisces moon stereotypes are that sometimes they will use drugs or alcohol to escape. And I don't know that it's necessarily escapism so much as it is managing the huge well of feelings that you have, some belonging to you, some belonging to the people around you. And so that's why I, again, encourage so much expression of this emotion. And then, yeah, as it pertains to cleansing, I definitely think that water as a modality for like cleansing oneself of the excess energy that you've picked up is hugely important for Pisces moons. So I think that's everything I have to say about Pisces moons. Love you. Happy Pisces season to you. And the next moon sign is Aquarius moons. Aquarius moons are stereotyped as being like not emotional, low-key, like Spock-like or robotic in their feelings, and that is not the case at all. Aquarius moons can become very passionate about the social issues, and by social issues I mean how they serve humanity as a whole. I think that Aquarius can become very, very passionate about helping humanity, and that is one type of emotion. But I think that there is a discomfort with other levels of emotion because it's not useful. Aquarius is, one of its rulers is Saturn, and Saturn is very much rooted in practicality, pragmatic sort of nature. And so sometimes Aquarius moons will not feel their feelings because, well, what's the point in it and what's the use of it? And so sometimes I have seen Aquarius moons that seem to be more comfortable with the emotion of rebelling or fighting against a cause or fighting for a cause, but then having discomfort with some of the other emotional range they could access. Very much see Aquarius moons, because of that energy that they want to serve humanity and make things better for people as a whole, being, they can be so innovative in that desire, but that sometimes when there isn't a focus for that innovation can be just rebellious for rebellion's sake. And I feel like I experienced this with younger Aquarian moons more so. But yeah, that's just something to be cautious of. What can you focus your energy towards that helps people and is something that you can work towards every day and harness and put some energy towards every day, to sort of escape that type of energy of just rebelling for rebellion's sake. Basically, Aquarians love working for a cause, and unless there's a cause there, sometimes it can just be like everything is the problem, you know? So having an area of focus could be very useful for Aquarian moons, thinking about parents of Aquarian moons. I also think that it's really important. Aquariuses are known as a little bit more detached, even though they love humanity. Sometimes one-on-one relationships can be a little bit more difficult. And so what are some ways that you can connect to people and exchange ideas and feel fueled by that exchange of ideas that feels safe for you? I think really identifying those will be useful to Aquarian moons. And so this is where I often see Aquarius associated with technology, generally speaking, like virtual connections to people, but also particularly social media. That might be a channel that helps you connect to people, feel energized by the exchange of conversations and ideas, but still have your energetic boundaries with people. That's everything I've got about Aquarian moons. Let's now talk about Capricorn moons. Dun, dun, dun. So Capricorn moon it can be a more challenging placement in that the moon loves to be at home in Cancer, and Cancer is directly opposite of Capricorn energy. It's what's known as being in its fall. It just means that the moon is not able to do its job of emotional intelligence, connecting to the emotional body, nurturing oneself, connecting to spirit and those things that we don't know but instead feel. You know, it's harder to do that in Capricorn. But Capricorn moon is another of these sort of pragmatic, practical sorts of energies. Capricorn is also ruled by Saturn. So it is very comfortable in the realm of practical thinking, what is productive, what is useful, that kind of energy. It is not so comfortable with just feeling for the sake of feeling and or emoting or understanding intimacy through emotion or emoting. I think about Capricorn moon, I think about that stereotype of a person who shows love via, yes, financial means, but I think like practical, what is it called? Acts of service, love language. Yeah, that kind of thing is what I think of when I think about Capricorn moons. Capricorn moon is very much about enduring, hard work over time, and there can be a tendency to be a bit of a workaholic or work too hard, whatever that even means. So I would encourage people that are looking to nurture their Capricorn moon or their child with a Capricorn moon to understand that as much as productivity and hard work is important, it's equally important to find places to have fun. Fun is something that we can work at as well, and to have rest. Rest is a way that we can restore ourselves so that we can get back to work, and really internalizing those things as values. And so that's why I put them in that way. It's not fun just for the sake of fun and joy. It is fun as a way to let our mind rest. It is a type of rest that restores us so that we can continue doing the work. This has to be something that is equally important to you as productivity and control. Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign, and so in terms of rest, I would also advise figuring out some sort of grounding exercise. Some way, it's the vibe is very much touching grass to re-energize, restore the energy that you have spent on work. Not to be stereotypical, but I think that some of the sort of planning and control activities can also be forms of rest for Capricorn moons. So having a restful Sunday where you like update your planner or look at your schedules for the week, and sort of sit with the idea of the activities and work that you will be doing in a way to sort of prepare yourself and understand what sort of energy load will be needed for those activities. And that can be part of your rest practice as well. Also, with Capricorn being an earth sign, I wonder about rest that is rooted in the senses. Can you get a nice deep tissue massage? Is that something that is available to you? Or the use of scented oils, or listening to music, really engaging what you can experience with your five senses may be useful as an earth sign as well. Probably more so for Taurus moons, but we'll get to that at the end. Now let's look at Sagittarius moons. Sagittarius is a mutable fire sign, so it's very much rooted in going with the flow of things that it feels passionate, excited, and curious about, but things that make it feel lit up and expansive. Sagittarius is also ruled by Jupiter, so an emotional realm that is rooted in an idea of like expanding themselves. When I think about this, I think about Sagittarius, yes, being known for travel, but being hungry for experiences that broaden its mind, its worldview. That feels like comfort to a Sagittarius moon. And again, with that sense of openness comes a feeling of freedom. When a Sagittarius feels too bound by obligation or work or relationships, sometimes that can feel suffocating to a Sagittarius moon. And so what are the ways in which you nurture your sense of freedom, expansiveness, and what are the ways in which you move through the day powered by your passion and the things that bring you joy? When I think about restful or nurturing, when I think about ways to nurture a Sagittarius moon, I think about letting them explore in some kind of way. For example, a child with a Sagittarius moon, taking them to the library and they get to choose from the entire world of books. Or as a Sagittarius adult, getting out into nature and going to those hiking trails that are not so popular and feeling as if you are experiencing something new or exploring and exposing yourself to something new that is off the beaten path kind of energy. With all fire signs, I think that it's really important to understand that part of your emotional body is going to need to burn off energy. And a lot of times that might look like some sort of form of physical exercise. And so, yeah, when I think about Sagittarian moons, I really think about hiking in particular, because it combines the working off this physical energy as well as exploring and getting to see something new. Also, for little baby Sagittarian moons, giving them the opportunity to teach you and show you what they have learned in their explorations is going to be deeply affirming. And so, reminder of that as well. And next we have Scorpio moons. It's similar to, in a similar way to Capricorn energy, the moon is deeply uncomfortable in Scorpio. It is in its fall, which just again means that it can't do things that it wants to do in terms of connecting to the broad range of emotion that's available to us and expressing that. Scorpio moons can experience emotion in a very intense sort of way. And I think one of the things that's most important to Scorpio moons is having someone that they can share that feeling with. Now, here's the thing. Scorpio moons hate sharing feelings with other people. And so as we're thinking about how to nurture our inner Scorpio moon child or our actual Scorpio moon child, how can you be a safe person to express the depth of feeling that they have, and share that with them and affirm it for them without trying to deter them from their emotion or engage in toxic positivity? How are you a safe place to share the depth and intensity of feeling and emotion that Scorpio moons have? The other thing that I will say about Scorpio energy is that it is a fixed water sign. And so when I think about that, I think about the metaphor of a swamp. Like the water is still on top. Stagnant water, you know, it's not flowing, it's not moving. And what is happening underneath that still water, and how deep does that still water go? So yeah, whether Scorpio moons intend to be secretive or not, it's just part of that kind of fixed still water nature. And so yeah, once again, how are you a safe place for them to share the depths of everything that's happening underneath the surface of this very still water? I will also add that as a fixed sign, sometimes Scorpio can get stuck in their emotions. Again, the water is not moving, and so whatever they feel, and they feel it deeply, can tend to sort of have an inertia to it. And so I have often seen Scorpio moons get stuck in a feeling of sadness or a feeling of rage or powerlessness. And so how do you churn up this sort of emotional stagnancy and get it moving and flowing as part of your nurturing your Scorpio moon process? I think that therapy is a thing that comes to mind as an obvious way to sort of look at these things. You know, you carve out this sort of safe space where you are telling the truth. Your therapist is hopefully a person that you trust to share your intensity of emotions. And it's a regular check-in point to look and excavate and transform and transmute the depths of emotions that come up for you. Scorpio sits opposite the zodiac wheel from Taurus, and I think that they both share a need for sensual experiences. And so I wonder if there are ways to use your five senses, Scorpio moons, to engage in that kind of churning up, transmuting, and releasing of the intensity and depth of emotion that you might have. Orgasms, sex, those could be useful modalities, but also what about a different form of creation, like a creative arts practice, or maybe in somehow being in touch with like the occult energy, the things that are taboo that people don't like to necessarily talk about. Those are sort of Scorpio energies, and I think that those can be ways to nurture your Scorpio moon as well. Yeah, as a parent to the child of a Scorpio moon, I would just underline how can you be a safe person for your Scorpio moon child to share the depths of emotions that they are feeling in a non-judgmental, non-toxic positivity kind of way. How can you support them? And then we come to Libra moons, the cardinal air sign. When I think about Libra moons, I think about part of the emotional body needing to connect to other people and be in relationship to other people. Yes, I think part of that can be romantic relationship and feeling nurtured by romantic relationships, but I think all relationships, I think Libra is very much fueled by people and taking care of and sharing emotion and feelings with the people around them. I think, you know, Libra is known for being balanced, you know, the scales symbol and everything. And we love that for them. We love a balance of emotion, but often what can happen is that Libra is slightly uncomfortable with extremes of emotion. And the thing that we're talking about when we're talking about all the moon signs is the full range of human emotion. And yeah, sometimes the full range of human emotion includes those spaces, those outliers at the end of the spectrum, you know. I bring that up because sometimes that discomfort with the extremes of emotion combined with doing emotion with other people can lead a Libra moon to engage in people pleasing or minimizing conflicts when that is not necessary, because sometimes conflict is healthy. So it's just something to just be aware of as a Libra moon. That might be a possibility. Libra is also ruled by Venus. And when I think about Libra's experience of Venus, I think about beautiful, it's, you know, it's an air sign, so I think about beautiful communications and how nurturing it is to Libra moons to have people talk to them nice, period. But also to have conversations with people around them that lift them up and buoy them. And if it's just a solo practice, I'm thinking about nurturing oneself with beautiful things, surrounding yourself with things that feel beautiful, like literally putting on a outfit that makes you feel beautiful, or makeup and hair that makes you feel beautiful, or experiencing some piece of art that is rooted in beauty and color and joy. And those can be really nurturing experiences to Libra moons. And as I'm thinking specifically about people parenting children with Libra moons, just being aware of the tendency for those Libra moon children to not necessarily being aware of the tendency for those Libra moon children to not want to share difficult emotions that they're experiencing because they want to be pleasant and keep things pleasant and charming and diplomatic. How can you as a parent be a safe person for a Libra moon child to express the full range of their emotional experience without feeling the need to take care of you as they are expressing these feelings that might be a little bit more difficult or uncomfortable for them to even experience? And then we come to Virgo moons. Virgo is a mutable earth sign, which, when I think about that phrase, mutable earth, earthquakes come to mind, and that kind of nervous, queasy feeling. I live in California, and so I experience earthquakes quite often. And there's a sort of uneasy feeling when the earth is moving underneath you. And I often think about that as the baseline for Virgo moons, Virgo energy generally speaking, but specifically Virgo moons. And so what is it like as a Virgo moon to nurture yourself and pour into yourself while acknowledging that sort of baseline anxiety? With Virgo being an earth sign, I wonder if it would be helpful for Virgos to engage in nurturing practices that are, again, rooted in the physical realm. And I also think about Virgo and associated with nature. So I'm thinking about like naturopathic medicine, but also maybe even aromatherapy, you know, like we are smelling the lavender flowers, the chamomile, or actually even gardening and smelling the soil, getting our hands in the soil. Or what could we do in terms of focusing on our health and nutrition? I think that when I think about Virgo energy, I often think about it trying to add value or improve things or make things better in some kinds of way. And so when I think about Virgo, nurturing the Virgo moon, I very much think about these kind of self-care practices that are rooted in improving oneself. yes, like the reading of self-help literature and attending self-help sort of conferences, but also like getting one's nutrition together and meal planning, or maybe having sort of an exercise or yoga practice. I think that yoga in particular can be very useful for Virgo moons, because it is rooted in quelling anxiety, because it seems to be so rooted in quelling anxiety and getting in touch with one's physical body and melding the link between one's emotional and physical body. And I think that that can be particularly useful for Virgo moons. A small caution around Virgo moons, because they're so rooted in making things better and adding value, sometimes they too can tend to lean into the people pleaser realm of things. I don't think as much as Libra moons do, but there is a small tendency there. And so yeah, if you are a parent to a Virgo moon, again, being aware of the ways in which they are experiencing and expressing their emotions, and are they expressing the full range of their emotions, or are they only expressing the parts that they think won't upset you, the parent? How can you assuage their worries and anxieties about upsetting you? And then we have Leo moons. Leo is my moon sign, as evidenced for my giant mane of hair today. And what I would say personally as a Leo moon is the importance of understanding that it's okay to ask for and receive affirmation. I think a stereotype about Leo moons is that they're so, or Leo energy generally speaking, is, you know, they're ruled by the sun. And so they're in the spotlight and they need to be seen and they need to hog, you know, all of the attention in the room. And I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that as Leo energy ages particularly, it not only stands in the light, but is able to reflect that light and warm the people around it, much like the sun in the sky warms everybody on earth. And that is a beautiful thing to witness. But in order to get to that place, Leo first has to feel seen and affirmed, and that builds its confidence to be able to share the spotlight. I think about ways to nurture one's Leo moon. I think about the childlike nature of Leo. I don't know if you're familiar with the Sun tarot card, but it's got that happy baby in the middle, and that very much feels like Leo energy. So what are some ways that you can engage in childlike play or creativity that fuel you, that give you a sense of confidence in the world? Who are the people that you surround yourself with that affirm you, that lift you up, that can actually see you for who you are and don't fault you for needing to be affirmed and lifted up in this way? And it's the same advice, you know, for a Leo moon child. What are the ways in which you can see them engaging in play and creative self-expression and affirm what you see? What are some ways that you notice your Leo child's being, and what words of life can you speak into them that build their confidence so that they aren't trying to hog the spotlight, but can confidently stand in the spotlight and reflect that light onto people around them? That's the work of being a parent to a Leo moon, I believe. Then we come to Cancer moons. The moon loves being in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. And so, you know, the moon changes signs every 2.5 days-ish. And so a thing that I think that Cancer moons should understand about their emotional body is that it too may wax and wane and change day by day, and that there is nothing wrong with that. I think that there are so many stereotypes about Cancer moons being wishy-washy or sometimey, and that's fine. I don't understand why that is frowned upon. Because what if we could look at that and reframe that as being in touch with your emotional self so much that you're able to honor the ways in which your emotional self changes and grows over time. Cancer moons are known for being in a similar way to Libra, but maybe even with a little bit more depth and flavor to it. They are known for nurturing and caring for the people around them. A Cancer moon is definitely the mom friend. And it's the same sort of caution that I would say, you know, about Libra and Virgo moons. It's how are you a safe person for your for your Cancer moon child to express the full range of their emotions without feeling like they need to take care of you at the same time. There's also a lot in the symbology of the crab with Cancers. Crabs are known for having their home literally on their back. And so I think another thing for Cancer moons is understanding that alone time and having a safe place to retreat to is of the utmost importance. I think that there can be so much work done by Cancer moons to nurture, care for, attend to the emotional needs of people around them, that it is part of their nurturing practice that they retreat and turn that energy inwards and focus on taking care of and attending to their own emotional body. In terms of emotional intelligence, Cancer cannot be beat. It is a cardinal water sign. It is literally the leader of the emotional realm. So in terms of understanding the feelings that they're feeling, I think that Cancer moons are really, really good at that. It's just, do they feel safe with the people that are around them in and actually expressing that? And you know, if you don't, then that's fine. But do you have a place that feels safe to you? A home, a safe space, a quiet place that is just your own, that you can feel your feelings, express them, and let them wax and wane like the moon. And then we come to Gemini moons. This is one of my favorite moon signs in that Gemini is a mutable air sign. So we're talking about going with the flow of information, conversation, data and research and reading and writing. And when I think about Gemini moons, I very much think about following the information that brings you joy. And so as I'm thinking about being a parent to a Gemini moon, let your child explore. Explore in a similar way that Sagittarius explores, but I think more centered on some of those mercurial sort of things, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. So explore books and writing and reading. Let your child have conversations with strangers as it feels safe, of course. Let your child engage in research and data collection. Ask them what they're curious about. Feed the things that they are curious about. Let them follow their curiosities. The caution with Gemini moons is that because of that innate curiosity, there can be a lot of mental activity, and sometimes there can be a disconnect between what my brain thinks and my emotional body feels. And so having a practice of nurturing yourself that helps you integrate those two things could be useful. And I think if anybody is going to benefit from a journal, it is a Gemini moon. And it doesn't need to be a written journal. I journal through my Instagram stories, or journal through talking aloud. But yeah, some way of having conversations, using the written word to understand the connection between your body, your mind, and your emotional body is going to be particularly important for Gemini moons. Then we come to Taurus moons. The moon is exalted in Taurus. It loves being in Taurus. It is an honored guest when it is in Taurus. Taurus is another earth sign. It is a fixed earth sign. And so emotional experiences attached to sensual realities are the key to, or can be the key to, nurturing a Taurus moon. And what I mean by that is, like, yes, like with Capricorn, the physical experience of like a massage or a beautiful perfume or a work of art or attending a gallery show or a play or opera or anything like that, listening to music. All of these experiences of the senses are going to help to nurture the emotional body of a Taurus moon. There can be a slight disconnect in the emotional body of Taurus. And that only comes from the fact that Taurus is fixed energy, and so can get stuck in the inertia of a particular emotion without actually checking in with their emotional body to know that that's actually true. An example could be like a Taurus holding a grudge. I don't like that person or that place or that thing. Yeah, because 6 years ago, something happened with that person, place, or thing. But how do you feel now? I told you I don't like that thing. But are you sure? Because who you are now is not who you are then. And why are we holding on to past versions of ourselves? And are there ways that we can allow ourselves to grow, evolve, change? And so I think this is where the reputation of, Taurus moons being stubborn comes in. It's just that feeling of once you've decided on a thing, that's how it is. But what if you were able to check in with your emotional body? So are there ways in which you can nurture your emotional body by actually checking in with your feelings? Feelings aren't static. We learned that from Cancer moon, feelings wax, wane, change, grow. And so, yeah, how can we honor that feelings can change for the Taurus moon? Similarly to Libra moon, Taurus is a sign that's ruled by Venus, and we talked about the earth sign need for like sensual and physical realities, and I think even more so for Taurus, that it's important to nurture one's emotional body by understanding that the conditions of the physical reality are important to the emotional health. And so as I'm thinking about nurturing a little Taurus moon baby, I'm thinking about finding things that make them feel beautiful. Can you take your Taurus moon baby for a delicious gelato instead of just ice cream at the Baskin Robbins? Can you take them on a hike, but it's a hike to a beautiful field of bright orange poppies and that sensory experience of seeing all of that color? What are some sensory experiences that you can offer your Taurus moon child that feed their emotional body? Then finally we come to our last sign, the Aries moon. Aries is ruled by Mars, and there is this stereotype of Aries moons because of that Mars rulership being more impulsive, being more impetuous, maybe even being more prone to aggression or anger. But really, it's not that. It's the energy of feeling a feeling, sharing that feeling immediately. There's very little like processing that Aries do. When they feel a thing, they go with that thing, especially younger Aries moons. Aries is a cardinal fire sign, so we are talking about a leader in the realm of passions, excitement, creativity. That's another thing. Aries moons can really very much be known for their creativity and their kind of like childlike enthusiasm for things. And so in order to nurture a Aries moon child, the first thing that I would say is finding out what they are excited about and letting them have as much of that as is safe for them to do so. For folks with Aries moons, I think that it's really important to honor, again, the full range of emotional experiences that you have, and to understand that your impulsiveness or impatience or frustration has real world roots, and how can you honor those feelings while at the same time not being reactive. And so I would encourage Aries moon folks to figure out practices that are rooted in stillness, because I think that, I don't know that you're not going to have and share your feelings immediately, but what if you could increase that sort of lag time so that there wasn't necessarily reactivity, but that there was a space of stillness between the emotion that you feel and how you react to it. So what are some sort of stillness or meditative sort of practices that you can figure out for your life? And also understanding that Mars is a lot of energy to carry in one's emotional body, and of all of the fire signs, I think that Aries moons in particular need a physical outlet for that kind of Mars emotional energy. And so yes to sports. I think that that's the main stereotype of Aries folks, particularly competitive sports. But yeah, are there any sort of physical ways that you can have an outlet for the frustration, impatience that we know will arise? And then are there any ways that you can strategize some sort of stillness practice to decrease the reality of reactivity? Well, that's a hell of a sentence. Decrease the reality of the potential for reactivity. Aries moon babies, I think about Aries being ruled by the head, literally headstrong. And I wonder if there are any child meditation, yoga, sort of stillness practices that can be instilled, but also the experience of actually doing like head massages as a way to connect to your Aries moon baby, provide a moment of stillness and allow them to feel the feelings without being reactive. Yeah, that is all 12 moon signs. Let me know if you resonated with any of that. Do you think that I got your moon sign wrong? Tell me about it in the comments below. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for making time for queer astrology. Take care of yourself.